I never expected a simple Saturday afternoon to turn into one of the most bizarre confrontations of my life. I had just finished prepping my new luxury boat, a sleek 50-foot masterpiece that gleamed in the sun like it was daring someone to say something about it. I decided to park it temporarily at the community dock, a spot I had used countless times before without issue. Little did I know this ordinary day would introduce me to the infamous HOA Karen of my neighborhood, a woman whose entitlement seemed to know no bounds. I barely stepped onto the deck when I heard her yelling from across the marina. "Excuse me, that boat does not belong here." I turned and saw her pointing dramatically at my vessel, her face red, veins popping out of her forehead. Karen, let's call her that because, honestly, her behavior screamed the stereotype was the type of person who believed rules applied to everyone except her. She marched toward me, phone in hand. I guessed immediately what she was about to do. "Hi, Karen," I said, keeping my tone calm. "I assume you're here to discuss the dock?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pressed a button on her phone and started screaming, "I'm calling 911. This is illegal. Someone's illegally parked a huge boat in the marina." I raised an eyebrow and gestured to the sign on the dock. "Private marina guests and owners only." "I see you're calling the authorities. Just so you know, I own this marina. This is actually my property." For a moment, I thought the words would hit her like a bucket of cold water. They didn't. Instead, she paused, blinked, then doubled down on her outrage. "That doesn't matter. You can't just bring that monstrosity here and block the other boats." I laughed, which only seemed to annoy her further. "Karen, I assure you, I'm not blocking anything. In fact, my boat is parked in a spot I personally designated for my luxury vessels. Everyone here is welcome, but yes, technically it's my property." Her jaw dropped. I could see the gears turning in her head, trying to process the fact that she had been about to call 911 on the marina owner. But before she could say anything else, my assistant, James, arrived. "He's always patient with these situations, ma'am," he said politely. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. This gentleman owns the marina and all of its docking spaces." Karen's face twisted in disbelief, then in indignation. "I don't care. I pay HOA fees. You can't just—" She trailed off. Fumbling with words like a politician caught in a lie, decided it was time to let her fully grasp the absurdity of her actions. "Karen," I said slowly, "you just called 911 on me. On my own property. Do you see why this is awkward?" Her phone rang. In her pocket, turns out she had already placed the call. I watched with quiet amusement as she answered, trying to maintain her angry composure. "Yes, officer. Someone is illegally parking a boat at our community marina." The operator politely interrupted her. "Ma'am, can you confirm the address and ownership of the marina?" Karen sputtered. "Well, I pay HOA fees, so The operator didn't even hesitate. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but according to our records, this property is privately owned by the person you are speaking to." You could literally see her brain short-circuit through the phone. She stammered, then hung up abruptly. I tried not to laugh too loudly. "Karen, I think you might want to sit down for a minute. Maybe have some water. You're going to need it." She opened her mouth, closed it, and then glared at me. I have neighbors who are upset." I gestured toward the other boats. Not a single soul was bothered. In fact, several owners waved and smiled, clearly entertained by the spectacle. "Karen," said, "maybe you should check the facts before calling the authorities next time. It's embarrassing to make that mistake. Some might think I should have been more gentle, but honestly, she had crossed the line by trying to criminalize something she didn't understand." I decided to give her a small taste of humility. "I'm happy to give you a personal tour of the marina and explain how everything works," I added, trying to sound magnanimous. "This way, next time, you won't feel the need to call 911. Her glare softened slightly, though I could tell she was still fuming. She muttered something about rules and community standards, but it was clear she had lost the battle after she stormed off. Muttering to herself and shaking her fists like a cartoon villain, James and I shared a quiet laugh. "I can't believe someone actually called the police on you for parking your own boat," he said. "It happens more than you'd think," I replied. "Entitled people see a shiny object or a piece of property they can't control, and suddenly they think they have authority over it. By the end of the day, I had become somewhat of a local legend. Word spread quickly. The Marina owner, confronted by an entitled HOA Karen, had calmly dismantled her entire argument without raising his voice. People kept stopping by to congratulate me, and I even had a few boat owners asking for advice on dealing with similar Karen-level behavior. Looking back, it was almost comical. But there's a lesson here that goes beyond HOA disputes or luxury boats. Some people thrive on confrontation and entitlement, and no amount of rules or signage will deter them. The key is staying calm, knowing your rights, and sometimes just letting the absurdity of the situation speak for itself. And Karen, well, she learned the hard way that calling 911 isn't a free pass to bully the property owner. I imagine she'll be thinking twice before challenging anyone who clearly holds the authority she assumed she had, as I sipped a glass of champagne that evening on my dock. Watching the sun glint off the water and my luxury boat rocking gently, I realized something. Life is full of Karen moments. Moments when entitled people try to assert control where they have none. But the satisfaction comes from handling them with grace, a little humor, and a calm confidence that says, I own this, and you don't. The best part, my boat stayed perfectly parked. Karen didn't return, and I had a story that would make everyone at the Marina laugh for years to come. So, next time you face a Karen of any kind, whether it's HOA office or neighbor, remember this. Sometimes the best response is simple, factual, and calm. Let them overreact. Let them call the authorities. And then, let the truth quietly, utterly, and hilariously set you free.